Okay, so let's go through our training for our advanced Hyrox avatar. So I start with a reload week, just coming off of a little bit of a break. It's a nice way to kind of ease into the training and just ensure that they don't have excessive soreness after the first week, or they're just in too deep of a hole from the start of the block. So just like a similar skeleton, just kind of condensed a little bit and just kind of ease into it. So uh, Monday, running, echo bike, easy into moderate into fast, then back into easy, moderate, fast, and then full body running. So I have half marathon pace, which that's going to coincide with the heavy intensity domain, which we talked about, calculating critical speed, and then easy effort, easy pace with the ski row. So I want to make sure that's real sustainable. So I'm going to use language to try to guide them towards that pace. If you have the paces for the athlete, you can just plug that in here. But the goal is making sure that these paces are sustainable and not too taxing. Then going into some faster intervals, high effort, repeatable pace. So I want these tough. Part of the reason why I have it lined up this way is I want to have some fatigue on the legs before they get into the intervals, to try to challenge their the durability of their speed and power, and that's what we're going to have for the next block. So this is just kind of an introduction to it. Then full body, and then Saturday, this is going to be the format for the first block. So they'll do easy work, then they'll go into intervals where 3 minutes high effort, active recovery, 3 minutes, 3 minutes high effort, active recovery. So I call this a work interval. So easy and tough, easy and tough. This is building durability of their, of course, work capacity, and their durability of their power, which in these I have the running on the back end of the interval, so they're getting fatigued running in, which is great. And then Sunday will be running easy, and then some intervals at half marathon pace, which should be faster than the easy pace. So this should be, back to our video, like in the moderate intensity domains, this should be below lactate threshold. So again, if you have that value, you can plug that in and then plug in for the half marathon pace as well. That would be ideal, so you can pinpoint it a little bit more accurately. Okay, so our first block, I'm going to stick to the run Hyrox sessions mainly. I'll go through the resistance, but I'll keep it kind of short, because you can look at those, and this is mainly the priority of all the training. So the increasing effort interval work on the front end, which is just to create some fatigue and also to get some volume in on the ergs, then have them go into running at faster than race pace. This is one way I can challenge their capacity in this speed without having to have to do a lot of it in this context. Also, too, because they've just come off of 2 days, or he will come off of 2 days of one day being tougher running based on the Saturday, and then Sunday long, not as tough, but a lot of volume, so the legs will already be heavy. So this is a nice way of hitting him with some fast running, but not a ton of it, and then leveraging low eccentric, almost non-eccentric movements here to create some fatigue, so we just get more bang for our buck there. And then the Wednesday, so starting 30 minutes, again, the whole theme, as you can see, is about building durability, which is what synonymous with fatigue resistance. So by front loading easier work, I'm creating this like low level of fatigue that they're accumulating, and then I ask him to go into faster work. And so that's a great way of developing what you need for longer endurance-based activity, which is you need great fatigue resistance for the back half of the event. So it's not about how fast you're performing or how well you're performing on the front half, but how much of a deterioration are you going to show on the back half, if at all. And so this is one way we can set up training to develop the ability to resist that. You can look there's great papers on fatigue resistance durability. I'd highly suggest reading a little bit more about that. So 30 minutes, easy pace on the runner, rower, ski, then into intervals, same as the last week, and I'm going to extend those out each week. And then Saturday, so again, easy on the front end, then into faster intervals, and I'm going to extend the intervals out, and the running is going to be on the back end of each of those. So he's getting fatigued running. That's going to be fast and challenging. And then the progression, so last week was 8K, this is going to be 9, and then I think it's going to go 10 yet, 6, 2, 2. So week 2, same idea, increasing effort, 5K worth of running, 15:30, 15:30, 90-second intervals, just extending it out. But I'm keeping the total length very similar. So we went 18 minutes of work. Now we've got 4 is why am I blanking? 6. It's 18 again. Yeah, 6 minutes. 90 times 4 is 6. So 6 times 3 is 18. So 18 minutes of work. And then 15. Now we're at 6-minute intervals. And so I've picked calories. So this would be important. I'm picking calories for these machines that would correspond with about 3 minutes of work. So he's going to get 3 minutes of running. So if you're going to use it with a client, and maybe that's too much or not enough for 3 minutes, then I would tweak that a little bit because I wanted about 1-to-1. Half the time on the rower, half the time running. And notice too, I went 4 minutes easy pace on the C2 bike. The week before, I went 1-to-1. So that's gonna challenge him or whoever's doing this a little bit more. So they'll have to adjust intensity to accommodate for that, because if they push it too hard, then by the end of the 4 minutes, they might not have recovered enough and they might not be able to repeat the output on the subsequent set. So again, another subtle way we can challenge their capacity and recoverability by manipulating some components. And then, like I said, 6 to 2, and then 10 rounds, and then 3K 1500. So he's going to do 3K at the same pace as last week. So he went 2500 last week, rest 2500. Now he's going to do 3K, rest a bigger chunk. He only rested 3 to 5 minutes, so 5 to 7. And he's going to go 1500 faster. So he's going to push it even more. So it's a little bit less total volume, but it's the pace is going to be faster. And again, 30 minutes, easy, intervals, 2 minutes, again, 18 minutes of work, 18 minutes of tough work. This would be above critical speed, critical power. This is unsustainable work, metabolically speaking. Saturday, 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 6, 8, 6, 8, 6, 8, 6. And again, probably 340, 350 worth of work on the row ski. So that's giving a little over 4 minutes of running. So again, just making sure that the erg and running is about 1-to-1. And then 8, 2, 2. So 12K total at the end. Well, actually we got, this is supposed to, I missed a 0. I was supposed to say 10K. One more week actually. So now, final week, I'm going to have him run 5K, same pace he ran last week at 1500. So this should be a tough 5K, but not a maximal 5K. And on the back end, we'll do some easy work. So he's getting some additional reps in on the legs. But of course, notice I put it to the front so I could prioritize it and have him perform well there. And then again, 30 minutes easy, and then the intervals, same thing. But, look at that. Made a mistake. That's supposed to be 3 minutes. So last week we went 3 sets of 2. Now we're going to go 2 sets of 3. Okay, so 10 minutes, 10 minutes of work, 10 minutes easy, 10 minutes work, 10 minutes easy, 10 minutes work. So again, about the 1500 is going to take under like 5.5 minutes, maybe. Depends how fast they're going. So again, around 1-to-1 time on the erg and running. And then 10K, 2-minute rest, 4K. So that's the end of the first block. Second block, we're going to go right into it because that was our building block. So now this is going to be a little bit more sport specific. So we have easy work on the Monday, then into increasing effort intervals. So the goal here is to, of course, build speed across the interval, and I'm using a lot of words to try to get the person to around the right pace I want. Now, if you know their paces, then you can plug those in, which I would suggest. Usually I do that with clients. So 5 out of 10 RP, which for a minute might feel like a 5 out of 10, but of course a 10K time trial pace is fast. And then we're going to go a little faster than Hyrox, which would be faster than 10K, and then a 9 out of 10 RPE for the last minute. So that's going to be pretty quick, like a 5K time trial pace. And then the pace is easy, moderate, tough. So trying to get them close to the rate of perceived exertion that I want. And then on Wednesday, like I mentioned, easy running, then fast intervals that we're going to extend out. So this is pretty fast. Like these are not full sprints, but very fast. And then easy intervals, so faster than race pace. So we have fast running over here, faster than race pace, and then we're going to go over to Saturday. And now we're going to have fast into obstacles into running. Well, running into obstacles into running, and it's fast running. So 1 minute slower per kilometer than race pace, into race pace, sled, and then run again. So working on building that durability of the running after the fatigue legs from the front half obstacles. And then second part, same setup, but skier, burpee, broad jump, aiming for race pace, which means that the skier is not going to be maximal or real aggressive. So again, this is a side note, but like the ski and the row in the Hyrox should be back to critical speed language, should be in the heavy intensity domains. So you should be going at a sustainable rate. You shouldn't be going at a unsustainable rate. To be more specific, the row ski pace should be around like a 10K split. If you've done it, which you don't necessarily need to do it, but just think of a pace that's pretty easy that you can sustain. It would be uncomfortable to hold for 30-40 minutes, but you could do it if you really wanted to. And then Sunday, this is the day where I'm going to add 1 kilometer each week. So we're going to start at 15, which is 1 more than last week. So that jumps small, which is good. And then just going to add 1 each week. And the pace is easy. So this should be back to critical speed. This should be around lactate threshold, moderate intensity domain. So again, if you know those paces, I'd plug that in. And then week 2, we go to 80 seconds. So I'm going to keep the same structure. I'm just going to extend the length of the intervals. Wednesday, 3K is the same, on the front and the back half, and then in between the intervals. These are going to extend out. The length's going to stay close. It'll get a little bit longer, the total time spent running. The intervals, of course, are going to get longer. And then Saturday, I'm extending the time spending running. So last week was 800. Now we have 1,000 50-meter sled, 1,000 50-meter sled pull. So it's getting bigger. And then same thing here, but with burpee, broad jump, and rowing. 16K, 100-second intervals. So we went from 3 minutes to 4 minutes to 5 minutes. 3K, now we have 6x400, so same length, total length of running, but there's more time spent running. This is good. It'll probably be comparable in pace. I would imagine it'll be close. The goal would be to keep these pretty close. I went conservative on the 4 to 6 seconds, 5 to 7 seconds. But the goal would be that you're keeping that pace pretty close each week as you extend it out. And then we went same distance, but more time spent at race pace. So we were at 500 last week. Now we're going 400, 600. Then back into ski sled. So run 1,000, spend more time working, and then run 1,000 again. So that's going to be a little bit harder for two reasons. One, there's more time spent at a faster pace, but also you're spending more time working with two movements that are going to cause, well, one movement's going to cause a lot of fatigue, the sled, which is what you're going to finish on before you go run again, because again the ski is going to be at a sustainable pace, so you're not going to incur a lot of fatigue if you use the right pace. With the sled you will. And then same thing here, 400 into 600 sled pull, burpee broad jump. So you're going to have a lot of fatigue accumulated, and then you have to go do 1,000. Then 17K, 6 minutes, so now we're at 120. The goal would be, as it says here, to try to keep the same pace every week as we extend it out. That's how I'd want that. Prep, and then, we're on a transition week. Sorry, no, we're not. I missed it. I scrolled too fast. So here's the last week of the block. So we had the 2 minutes I just mentioned. 3K, 5 sets, 600. So now we're at 3,000 meters. We were at 2,400 the last 2 weeks. So now we're at 3,000. And then Saturday, nope, we're not doing the simulation, the little test yet. That's next week. But this we have 1,000, 500, 1,000, 50. Same kind of sequence for all three. So he's getting 2, 4, 6K of running in at race pace, which 8K is the total amount. So this is a pretty good chunk of work. There's rest, of course, between. And then the goal uses it as a small test run to see how the running obstacles and fatigue are feeling after 8 weeks of building. So this would be a good little check-in. And then 18K the next day. It's a big day. So big week, like I said, end of this block would be peak volume of running, and then now transition week we're going to pull the volume back, allow fatigue to come down, new layout, and then short simulation on Saturday to gauge how they're doing. So 20 minutes easy, 1-to-1 intervals, lowers the fatigue. It's just good training, but it's nothing too exhausting. And then Wednesday prep. Now we're doing fast run and obstacle work. So this is where we're going to get our faster than race pace work in as we move into the pre-comp phase of training, and then just some cool down work on the back end just to get some extra volume in. And Saturday, this will be the little mini simulation. We're going to do another one at the tail end of the next block. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, 5K. So about 60% of the race volume. But again, just to see, we're kind of putting everything together from the last week a little bit shorter, just to see how well they can handle that. And if they're doing well, great, then we keep pushing. If not, then we pull back just a little bit. And then 10K, this is going to be the same, the whole block, like I mentioned in the other video. This will just make sure that the fatigue's not too high from too much running, but he's still getting in running to maintain the volume that we want on the legs. Then we start pre-comp. Like I mentioned, Monday's easy, and then 1-to-1 intervals. Wednesday, we have the faster than race pace running into ergs, into faster than race pace running, and then doing it with obstacles on the other one. So I'm going to be watching the running volume as the weeks go on, and then just changing how I'm laying it out to change the challenge. And then now we're into the more specific intervals that are going to lead into the actual simulation. So race pace, race pace, race pace. So now we're going to build this up. So we have 1,500. So that's 3K, 3K. So we have 6K of running here at race pace with rest, and we're going to build that. Week 2, 2-minute intervals. These I figured would take about around 6-ish, 7 minutes of work, something like that. Maybe a little bit more than that. Depends how fast you are. But let's assume it's around 7-ish minutes for people really moving fast. And then now I went to 8 minutes, and maybe 7 to 8 minutes. Now we're doing 8 minutes, but it's a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to have them go for about 4 minutes, 3:40 to 4 minutes of work on the erg, race pace. Again, it's a sustainable pace, but they're accumulating fatigue. And then now you need to run fast. So we're getting the VO2 up. Oxygen intake is up high, which is good. And then I want you to run faster on top of that. That's a great way of building capacity in the discipline that you're trying to build, especially if you're running above your critical speed. So you're running at an unsustainable rate, which this pace would correspond with that, which is why we have rest. And then 4 intervals, that's 32 minutes of work. So that's a big session. It's a lot of work. And then here we go. 1,000, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. So we were 6K last week. Now we have 8K. So we're doing 4K straight with ergs, 5-10 minute rest, 4K straight with ergs and machines. So that's going to be a big session. Then the 10K easy, well, not easy intervals, but very vanilla, very simple intervals. Now we're doing 10 minutes. 10 minutes, he's going to go for, let's assume 17 cals a minute. So that's about 5-ish minutes, 4.5 or so, 5 minutes of time on the bike. And then probably a little bit less for the ski, maybe 4.5, and then maybe 4:15 for the rows. So you're running about, let's say, 5.5, 6-ish minutes per interval, which is great. So that's 15-ish total minutes of work. Let's just, for easy math, let's say it's 15 total minutes of running at a fast pace. And then last week, I would assume, let's say 4, so that's 8, so 16. So comparable amount of time spent running at the same pace, but the intervals are longer here, so there's going to be more fatigue. So notice how I didn't make a big jump in volume, but I just extended the amount of work that they're going to do before they run and the amount of running they're actually going to do as well, which is why there's only 3 intervals. Instead up here, we had 4 total. So that's important because what you can run into is you push the volume a little too aggressively on multiple days, and then it catches up to people. So I'm trying to be real deliberate on this session because it's faster and it's more intense to keep the jumps real small so that when he gets to this day, he has good juice to get a good outcome here. So we were at 8K last week, so this is 10K. So this is where it's going to peak. So 1250, so that's 5K, and then that's 5K. So that's the peak week of volume. And then again, the 10K. Week 4, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Wednesday, 20-minute clock, Echo Bike Ski Erg row, remaining time running for distance. So again, he's going to get maybe 10 minutes of running, and depending on if the person's competent on the machines. So again, comparable to last week, but again, running for a longer single period of time, which is good. Not incurring extra fatigue because the volume's comparable, actually a little less, but he's having to really stress and push himself on that, which is what we want. And then here's the simulation. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8K of running, which is less than last week, but 60% of obstacle volume. So that's going to allow for less fatigue, of course, and it's going to give him a better opportunity to feel the race pace and ideally feel really confident for next week. So we've built up a lot of great volume. So by the time he gets to the session, he should feel really good and capable and walk away confident for next week. And again, 10K, and then now race week, I pull back the volume, so this session's a lot less. When you look at the resistance sessions, this will be a lot less. 30-minute AMRAP on Wednesday with increasing effort, so only 5 minutes of the 30 is real fast, but the way it's set up, if you haven't done something like this before, it's fun and it's great, and it's fascinating how challenging the last 5 minutes feel when you have to increase your pace continually. So it's a nice way of getting some intensity but controlling how much of it is really demanding on the system. And then a flush on Friday, and then Saturday race prep drills and getting ready, and then it's go time. Time to crush sub 60. So that's the build. Hopefully I said some things in there that were helpful or insightful. I know I went through that fast, but yeah, I hope you find this useful. And if you have questions or concerns or anything on any of this, always feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, wish you the best, and go get them.